weight gain during menopause, tummy fat during menopause is a real thing. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how I managed to lose my weight, belly fat. And basically how I managed to get back to feeling like myself, getting my energy levels back, and also losing the excess weight. So before we get into the video, I'm going to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already. Whilst you're there, you know, a thumbs up is always very much appreciated, and a comment. Tell me what you think of this video, what has helped you, and all of that, because comments help the channel too. So I started off this video saying that weight gain was a real thing and I've managed to lose the weight. But I really don't want the video to come off as preachy or that it was an easy thing to do. In fact, for me, the reason I managed to do it was because of health issues. I tried many times to lose the excess weight that I felt I had put on, and this comes from somebody that had a normal weight. I was never beastly overweight. You know, most people wouldn't have even thought I was overweight, you know, but I did get to a place where I wasn't comfortable with myself. My energy levels dropped. I just wasn't myself anymore, and I had this belly that I'd never had before. Never ever had I had a belly before. I exercised like I always exercise, but yet I was putting on the weight, and there's a reason for that. But before I get into the reason and the diet and what I did to change and why I changed things, let me tell you a little bit about myself, just in case you don't know me. I am Andri. I am 57 years old. I am a mother of 3 grown-up sons, and I'm also a grandmother of 3 grandchildren. I'm a wife, and I was a daughter that looked after my mum, who suffered with dementia, and it was probably during that period that I was going through the menopause. But because I was so busy, you know, looking after my mum, running a business, a household and everything else, being a mum, being a gran and all of that, I didn't have time for myself, and I just accepted everything. Although everything was happening, I just had to do everything. And it wasn't until later on, when I lost my mum, I realised that things were not right with me. You know, things at this point kind of slowed down, and I thought, I'm still not right. And we as women, we as humans are very good at making excuses for ourselves. It's part of aging. It's because I've got this to do. It's because I've got that to do. I know I got to a stage when my health wasn't as good, or I wasn't feeling myself. I didn't realise that I was unhealthy because I continued to exercise. I always thought I was healthy. You know, I thought my energy levels had dropped because I was getting older. That's what I was led to believe. I did start doing research, and at this point, after doing my research, I decided to go on HRT. And that's a big one in menopause. That is a big thing, you know, hormones. But even though I started taking HRT, I was still exercising like I always did. I still wasn't feeling myself. I still had the belly fat. I still had the belly fat. My energy levels still weren't good, and all of that. So what happened with me was, and why I realised something wasn't right with me, was my nails. My nails weren't right, and I ended up having to go to the doctor. I went to a pharmacist, blah, 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 and they sent me to a doctor, and I went to a doctor, and because of that, they did blood tests. And when my blood test came back, it shook me. I was shocked at how unhealthy I actually was. So it wasn't anything to do with my age, but I was unhealthy. Why was I unhealthy? What happened? Now, hormones play a big part in your health, but I'd started taking, you know, the sex hormones, you know, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone are all the sex hormones. I only needed to take estrogen because I had had a hysterectomy in my 30s. Progesterone, just in case you don't know, you take it, you know, it protects you from cancer in the womb. But I have done a video on my HRT journey, which I will link below, and you can watch that. I'm not going to get into that just now. But hormones are a big thing, you know, when we're going through the menopause. Things like insulin, which is a hormone. So I went on HRT, but the belly fat was still there. So I had these blood tests, and the blood test came back that I had extremely high cholesterol, I had an overload of iron, and I had an underactive thyroid, and that terrified me, especially the cholesterol and the overload of iron. So, you know, I did a lot of blood tests at this time. I knew I didn't want to go onto medication to control these things. And, you know, I was at a stage where I could still, you know, do something about my health. And how amazing is that? That you can still reverse things, you know, and that's what I'm saying to you. Belly fat in a woman during menopause can be really quite dangerous because it shows it could be fat around your organs. It's not just simply like cosmetic fat. I say cosmetic fat, but you know, when you put a bit of fat on your hips when you're younger, and you put a bit of fat, you know, in your arms and blah, 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 blah. It's not like that. This is a different type of fat, the menopause fat. You know, it surrounds your organs, you know. So, and that changes your health. That changes your energy levels. That changes all of these things. So I started doing my research, and to control my cholesterol, I cut out certain foods that would affect my cholesterol. When I say I cut them out, I cut them out. So any high fat foods, creamy foods, anything that would affect my cholesterol, I cut out. Again, with my iron levels, I cut out things that had added iron in them. Bread, in this country, they add iron to bread. They add iron to cereals. When you look at a lot of these foods, they add iron. So for me, at this point, I decided I needed to eat quality food, whole food. I stopped anything that wasn't real food. So for me, nothing out of a tin, nothing out of a packet, nothing processed. I cut out pastas because they were bad. You know, the carbs in them affects your insulin. I was scared of diabetes because my mum was a diabetic. So anything with added sugar was out. So I still eat my fruits, I still eat my berries, I still eat things like that because they are natural sugars. I will not eat anything with added sugar. I may now have the odd treat. Very, very rarely I'll have the odd treat. You know, like, I don't know, a tiny bit of chocolate. Now when I want to snack on something, it's going to be nuts. If I, you know, want to eat something, it has to be nutritious. So let's talk about the diet. So the main things in my diet, you know, you need to have good fibre, you need to have good proteins, good fibre and good proteins. I avoid most supplements because for me, if I've got a good diet, I shouldn't be needing to supplement. So basically, my diet is now, it's a simple diet. In the morning, oh, I've added fasting as well, but you need to be very, very careful with fasting. I know a lot of channels and a lot of videos promote fasting, but you really need to be careful with fasting. You shouldn't be fasting if you're a diabetic. And you know, I say all of this, I am not a doctor, I am not a scientist, I am not a nutritionist, I am not a dietitian. This is what's worked for me. So before you do anything, you need to have your bloods done by your doctor, and you need to speak to your doctor. I know it's really hard to speak to a doctor these days, but you know, you should get your bloods done to know exactly where you are at with your health. You know, it's not one size fits all. We're all different. Our genetics are different. Our health is different. So you really need to do your own homework. But this is what's worked for me. And you know, when I was younger, it was a matter of calories in, calories out, and it made a difference. I would lose the weight and it would be fine. That does not work at my age now. It doesn't work at all. I've tried it. I've tried all the faddy daddy diets. I've done the ketos. I've done all of that. Yes, you lose the weight to begin with, but you need to change your way of life. This is not a temporary diet. This is something that you need to change for the rest of your life. We weren't designed to live this long, so our bodies weren't designed to cope with all of these things at this stage. They started shutting down, started losing our hormones. We needed those hormones. Those hormones that we had, they controlled everything. So now I take HRT, I have added estrogen, but for me estrogen is not, although estrogen when I was younger had a lot to do with, you know, weight, whether it was to add weight or take weight away and all of that. Now I need estrogen for different things in my life as a woman. But for me to control my weight, what has changed for me is my diet and my exercise. Although I have always exercised, exercise is not enough. You do need things like weight bearing exercise, which maintains your muscles, increases your muscles and stops them from turning into fat. Cardiovascular helps the heart and it burns fat too. Now I never ever count calories. I stop eating when I feel full, and I have learned to adapt, and I'm quite happy. I enjoy my porridge with berries and almonds in the morning, which provides me with my fibre, which is very important to keeping my belly fat down low. And protein for me is what fills me up. So my protein during the week will probably be fish and salad or chicken and vegetables, and that's my diet through the week. I avoid anything with added sugar. I do sometimes have dark chocolate. It's a high percentage of cocoa, so it's normally 85-90% cocoa, but it still has added sugar in it. But that for me is a treat. Breads, like I said, I avoid because of the iron content. Sometimes I still have bread as long as it doesn't have added iron in it. I will not eat anything with added iron. The other thing is, because I had an iron overload when I did my bloods, I'm back to donating blood, which I always did before, because, you know, as a woman that is really good for us, because as women, when we had our periods, there was a way of getting rid of all this blood. And for me, because I had a hysterectomy in my 30s, I wasn't getting rid of all this blood. So I don't know what it was. I don't know what caused it. It's not hereditary, but I ended up with an iron overload. I did start taking supplements when I wasn't feeling myself, because I was going through the menopause and I didn't understand it, and I thought I needed extra vitamins, supplements, whatever, and probably they had iron in them and I didn't need it. And vitamin C helps the absorption of iron. Basically what I'm saying to you is, do not take vitamins. You know, your vitamins should be coming from your food. If you're eating nutritional food, that's where it should be coming from. Again, seek advice from your doctor, speak to your doctor. I am not a doctor. I am just speaking from somebody that has tried these things and it has worked for me, or things haven't worked for me. I have shared on my channel lots of times the vitamins that I have taken because I thought they were working. I'm now not promoting vitamins at all. If you've come here for a quick fix, it's not a quick fix. But I'm telling you, it works. It really does work. To change the way you feel, to change the way you look, you need to change the way you think about food, because it really does work. Exercise alone won't help you lose weight. You need to start, especially at our age, you need to start giving your body what it needs to function at its best. That's the way you need to look at it. And you need to appreciate the fact that you can change things. I am surrounded now by friends that have illnesses that they can't do anything about, that they need medical intervention. I am lucky enough at this stage that I can change things by simply changing my diet. It's as simple as that. I'm going to tell you another thing. I was out recently at one of Gordon Ramsay's places and I thought, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to have a fish supper, as we Scots call it, a fish supper, fish and chips, which I would not have now because it's deep fried, it's covered in batter, not good for my cholesterol at all. And I thought, I'm out, I'm going to treat myself, I'm going to have it. Did I enjoy it? It was okay. It wasn't what I thought it would be in my head. I would much have rather have had a pan fried fish without the batter, without all of that, so I could actually taste the fish. Because my taste palettes now have changed. I'm used to tasting real foods. I don't want the batter, the deep fried, the sweetness. I want to taste the food. I want to taste the flavours. And I can hear many of you saying, Andri, life is too short. Enjoy the chocolate. Enjoy the crisps. Enjoy, you know, what you enjoy. But it's a quick fix. You know, how many of us are having the odd chocolate or the odd packet of crisps or the odd processed food? For a lot of people, it's a way of life. And honestly, when you stop having these things, you stop wanting them. I look at them now and I look at people eating a whole bar of chocolate and I'm like, no. Sometimes I'll go, I have a wee snap of it just because you look at it. And then when I actually eat it, I think, it's not that great. You know, what is great is the way I now feel, the way I now look, and the energy levels I have. It's amazing to get back those energy levels. And you know, for those of you that follow my vlogs, you will have seen me saying, oh, I felt tired today, and I just spoke about it as if it was normal and I should have accepted it. Oh, I felt as if I needed to go for a nap. No, I shouldn't be needing to go for a nap. Why am I needing to go for a nap? My body is telling me it is not coping. If I'm needing to go for a nap when I've never done that before, my body is saying there is something wrong. If I don't have, you know, the same energy levels when I have maintained my exercise, maintained my routine, there's something wrong. We need to really learn to listen to our bodies and look at our bodies. You know, life is short, so we should make the most of it, and we should, you know, look after what we have been given. And I know this sounds preachy, and I really don't mean it to be preachy, because I have been there. I have struggled to lose the weight. I've done, those of you that have been with me. You've watched me trying keto, calorie counting, cutting things out. And you know, with calorie counting, what a lot of people do is, you know, they treat themselves with all the foods that are not so good with the calories, you know, rather than eating the things that are good for you, which probably have less calories. And oh my goodness, I've done that. Trust me, I have done that. Right now, like I said, I never count calories. I never count calories. I simply stop eating when I've had enough. And because I eat the right foods, I don't crave food, honestly. I've watched people making videos like this in the past, and that I've been that person. Oh, life's too short. Have the chocolate, have the wine. You know, I'm not saying to you don't have the occasional treat, but that's what it should be, a treat, not something that we have every day. You know, the odd jelly baby, doesn't matter. You know, the rare rich chocolate, doesn't matter. But it has to be the odd and the rare and the treat, not something that we go to, which is what I was doing. My body would allow me to do that when I was younger. It would deal with it because, you know, my body was designed to deal with it at that age. My body at this age wasn't designed to live this long. That's what people keep telling me anyway. Well, my body, I'm going to make sure I'm going to give it the right things so I can live for as long as I can, be as healthy as I can. And I don't want to look back and regret and say, I should have done this and I should have done that. I am now giving my body what it needs, because it by itself, although it's one of the best machines, you know, it doesn't deal with it as well, because like I said, it wasn't designed to live this long. So the hormones are going, so I'm giving it the hormones that it needs, you know, and I'm giving it the nutrients that it needs. So it is about diet and exercise. You need your weight bearing exercise to build your muscle, to stop your muscle from turning into fat, which also helps your metabolism, which helps you burn fat quicker and all of that. But like I said, I am not a doctor, I am not a scientist, I am not a nutritionist. This is what works for me. Cardiovascular, you need your cardiovascular to burn fat, to maintain your heart. I'm not telling you to go and run a marathon, but a couple of times a week, you know, do your weight bearing exercise. You don't even need weights. Things like, you know, lunges and things, you know, like press ups, they're all weight bearing exercises. You know, I have exercised for years. I have always exercised. So my exercise regime will seem extreme to a lot of people, but I am just maintaining something that I've always done. If you've never exercised, go for a walk, you know, build on it. You know, honestly, it makes a difference to how you feel. The way you eat, the way you exercise will make a big difference. And honestly, look at HRT as well. But do your homework, speak to your doctor, you know, speak to the right people for your HRT as well. I've done the video on it. I will link my video on HRT below. And remember, we are lucky to be in a position that we can still change things, and we can, you know, if you're looking in the mirror and you don't like what you see, and this belly that has appeared that you've never had before, you know, you can do something about it. Honestly, you really can. You don't have to be eating the sweets and the chocolates and all of that. You can still have a great time eating your nuts and your veg and your proteins and your fibre. I love my porridge in the morning. I am so excited to have my porridge with my berries and my almonds, and that's my fibre, and I love it and I really enjoy it. And it's good for me. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel full. And you know, I've got, oh, I just love it. And as a treat, I add peanut butter to it sometimes. I absolutely love it. And then if I get hungry during the day, I snack on nuts. And if I get really hungry, or if I'm going to go to a class before my dinner, I'll cut myself a bit of halloumi with some cucumber. I'll have that. It fills me up. My halloumi is my protein, you know, and it's just, oh, honestly, do it. Do it, do it, do it. Really, that's all it takes. You don't need to do the calorie thing and the... I do naturally do low carbs because of things I've had to avoid because of my cholesterol and my iron overload and all of that. I do lower carbs. So I avoid, you know, things like potatoes, rice and pasta, especially during the week. Even at the weekends, I wouldn't have, you know, a side of chips. I will maybe take one from Rico's plate, a couple. That's it. If I'm going to treat myself, it will be a couple. I do sometimes, again, it will be at the weekends, or if I'm out for dinner, or if I'm with family, or if I'm on holiday, I'll have fried things, but I avoid them most of the time, and that's the secret behind it. You know, look at your nutrients, look at eating whole foods, real foods, avoid processed foods, things with added sugar. Sugar's bad, 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 bad. It really is bad. Sugar's so bad. I won't take sweeteners anymore because, you know, they have their own problems. I've learned not to have sweet things. If anything is sweet now, I go, oh, that is really sweet. And it's something that I would never have thought as being sweet before. That's it. I'm sorry if you've come here for a quick fix, because it's not a quick fix. It's a new way of life. It's a new way of seeing things. And it's a privilege to be in a position where we can change things. And remember, the odd treat occasionally, there's nothing wrong with that. Cheers. And if you would like to see more videos from me, I'm going to link one here. And if you're not already subscribed, just press the A here, and I look forward to your comments in the comments section.